Hello and welcome to the Restricted View. Today we'll go through a number of subjects including the Spurs reaction and looking forward to next week's game against Sunderland. First off, Everton lost the first game at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. It was going to come, wasn't it? And it certainly did. Everton lost 3-0 at home, mainly due to poor set-piece defending and maybe even Jordan Pickford if you believe David Moyes. David Moyes said in his press conference he was disappointed with the defending from set pieces, especially Jordan Pickford not being able to punch as their goalkeeper did and clear some of those efforts. We had our set pieces, of course.
We had more corner kicks than them today, but they got their head on them and we didn't. And the goalkeeper punched a few and we didn't.
But I mean, from what you've seen so far, have you been able to pinpoint exactly kind of what went wrong in those goals?
Yeah.
Are you able to talk a little bit about?
However, upon reflection, we didn't really deserve anything from the game. Yes, we had some chances. Yes, we had more possession. We had more shots. Everton had more corners. But what did we really do with it? Did we create any fantastic chances? I think there were half chances here and there, apart from one really key moment in the game, I thought, was Jack Grealish's early chance on goal. If that goes in, it's 1-0 early in the game, and it could be a completely different game. Jack Grealish really has to start burying those, especially if he wants to get back in the England setup. He can do better from those situations, and he has to be fair. We're well within our rights to be demanding goals from Jack Grealish, and he's not going to get better chances than the one against Spurs. If you actually look at the team heat maps versus Spurs, we've got the better possession. We are on the front foot. We are more in Spurs' half. Spurs aren't really in Everton's half, but there's a huge gap around that penalty area. So that means we're getting the ball out wide, we're getting it to Grealish, we're getting it to Ndiaye, but we're not really breaking into the box with any quality. The final third is the issue for Everton, and we can see that in our goals. Look at our XG. Goals versus XG, we're actually minus 3.43, which means we should be scoring more goals than we actually are. Of course, this leads us to the striking situation, but we'll touch on that a bit later. Final thought on Sunday is, yes, we were the better side in open play, but set pieces are crucial. You know, everyone keeps talking about set pieces this season being so important, and they are, but they've always been important, and we've always been quite good on them. We still are. We're still really good. At this stage of the season, we've conceded 2 goals from set pieces. It's one of the lowest in the Premier League. Unfortunately, them two came at the same time against Spurs. Could we have affected the game a little bit more with our substitutions? Possibly so. You know, the first substitution didn't come till 66 minutes when Tierno Barry come on, Roll came on. And to be fair, they looked better than the players they replaced. So they came on, they made an impact. Roll looked good. You know, he's not really nailed down a particular position. Even when he's coming off the bench, he's played on the right, he's played in the centre. But he looks energetic and he looks like he's got something about him. So I'm eager to see more from Roll. And to be fair, he's probably pushing to get a start in the starting 11 against Sunderland. Will he? I'm not too sure. David Moyes likes to stick with his tried and tested players, but he is hoping. Other than that, Charlie Alcaraz came on about 86 minutes. Again, we're 2-0 down and you're bringing a player on after 86 minutes. What are you going to do? You've got 4 or 5 minutes to affect a game when we're 2-0 down. It's a huge ask, and it's a bit of a slap in the face to a player, to be honest. He didn't really have any time to get involved with the game. He needs longer. Any substitute coming onto the field when you're 2-0 down needs longer to get into the game. Where was Dwight McNeil? Well, he was on the bench, same as Tyler Diblin. It really is interesting that David Moyes doesn't fancy Dwight McNeil at all. You know, he played in a reserve game against Bradford last week. He was terrible, let's be honest. You know, we lost the game by a huge amount. But he didn't really do anything to cement or convince David Moyes that he should be playing in the first team. However, at some point, you would think he's got to get a game. Interestingly, Everton have only used 29 substitutions this season so far. It's actually the second lowest in the Premier League, just above Crystal Palace. Now, there's 2 ways of looking at this. You could say the manager is tactically naive. He knows what he likes and he doesn't deviate from it. He doesn't trust the players on the bench. And they all could be true. But let's look at Wolves, you know, having a terrible start to the season. They've actually used the most substitutions at 44. However, if you're looking at the table of what teams have used the most substitutions, on average, the teams in the top half of the table use the most substitutions. So either A, they've got the best squads, or B, Substitutions actually work, and we should be making more of them. Vitaly Mykolenko again struggled at the weekend. Looks a little bit out of sorts. Defensively, he looked naive coming up against a strong Spurs right-hand side. Johnson was on that right side. Kudus was on that side. So Mykolenko certainly had his hands full. He was pushing really high as well in situations from goal kicks, for example. He was almost trying to win the flick-ons for Beto. So the balls were going into Mykolenko almost as a number 9, number 10 role, which left Everton a little bit exposed, and Mykolenko didn't look comfortable doing that. His contract's up in the summer, 2026, and we're coming to a stage now in January where he's going to be able to talk to other clubs. Everton have got a major decision on their hands whether to retain Mykolenko and offer him a new contract. If I had to guess, I would say they would, simply because they don't want to risk any asset leaving on a free. So I expect Mykolenko to be offered a new contract in the coming weeks. But the fullback position undoubtedly is a worry for Everton. Mykolenko's there at left back. We haven't really got another left back to replace him, apart from Asnu, who really doesn't look to be fancied again. David Moyes has already said it may take a year for him to settle into the squad, settle into English football. They may even be looking for a loan in January for Asnu to go out and get some first team football. Looking at the left back situation, we're light. Looking at the right back, we are light again. Jake O'Brien's been playing at right back, but he doesn't really offer much going forward. From corners and set pieces, yeah, sure, he's a threat. But actually on the ball, Ndiaye looks like he needs somebody to link up a little bit better with him. That could come from Seamus Coleman, but it could also come from James Garner. Now, multiple people have been calling for James Garner to play at right back against Sunderland. Defensively, we know he's solid. He can do the job. Ideally, it's not perfect, but he can fit into that position well. He's played it, and he can do the job again. There's worry over Seamus Coleman's fitness, so James Garner is the natural option right now to play at right back. Going forward, he can go on the overlap, go round Ndiaye and give Ndiaye and the defenders a little bit more to think about. Do they follow Ndiaye? Can Ndiaye slip Garner through to whip a ball deeper into the box? Certainly, there's more options for Evan down the right-hand side with Garner playing and starting at right back. And it'll be interesting to see if that happens against Sunderland. Personally, I don't think so. Away at Sunderland, David Moyes certainly doesn't want to concede goals. He's going to go with his trusted back four, which includes Jake O'Brien at right back. I would be amazed if James Garner gets a start at right back on Monday night. But one thing we do have to do is score goals. Beto versus Barry. Now, this is a debate that I've been having in my own head over the past few days. Who's going to start against Sunderland on Monday night? Both not in form. Both look unorthodox. Quite difficult to predict what's going to happen. I don't even think they know what they're going to do with the ball until they're on top of it. I don't know if Barry is an out-and-out target man. I don't think he is. I don't think he's got the physique. But then again, Beto isn't either. Beto likes the ball played in behind so he can run onto the ball. All the teams are not going to allow this. They've seen it happen last season, how dangerous he can be. So they're marking Beto a little bit differently now, and they will drop a little bit deeper. It's certainly a worry for Everton. One suggestion is Iliman Ndiaye. Can he play in like a number 9 role, maybe as a false 9, and keep Grealish and maybe Tyler Diblin really high on the right-hand side? Maybe Charlie Alcaraz on the right-hand side. It's certainly an option, and I'm wondering, is David Moyes thinking about this? It'd be interesting to see if anybody can ask them about this, perhaps even at the upcoming press conference. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the follow and subscribe button, please, and like it and all that kind of jazz. It really does help the channel. We're brand new, we're up and running, and much more content to come, but we need some support. So please do hit those buttons. Thanks very much, and I'll see you on the next video.